Hi and welcome to the Sew and Tell Australia YouTube channel. I've partnered with Brindille and Twig today to bring you their number 130 pattern, the Essential Coveralls. I love this pattern. It's a super versatile one, great for babies, great for newborn gifts, baby shower gifts. It's a really sweet pattern. It has a back opening if you want to do a back opening, and also a snap placket bottom, which is also great for changing nappies. So for today's video, we're going to need a couple of things to complete this one. You'll need your fabric, a cotton lycra or stretch lycra is preferred. Something with good recovery is always good. We also need some clips or pins to clip and pin our fabric. I prefer using clips when I'm working with knit fabrics. I just find it doesn't mark the fabric as much. We're also going to need some some scissors, or a rotary cutter. I like to use a rotary cutter, but you can use either. And I also like to have a pair of snips handy just to have at my desk for any of those wayward threads. So without further ado, I'll take you over to my projector where I'm going to be cutting our pattern pieces, and we'll go from there. I've loaded up my pieces. I've got my size, which I'm doing the 6 to 9 months loaded. So this is the same whether you have a projector pattern or paper pattern pieces. And now I'm just going to start by cutting it all out. Now that we've cut all our pieces out, we can move on to putting it together. The last thing that I needed to do was cut out some 1/4 inch elastic. So I've got my 1/4 inch elastic here. For the 6 to 9 months, I had to cut an 8-inch piece. It's listed in the pattern, so you can check that out. I've loaded up my serger with the correct colours for my material that I'm using. So now I can start to put it together. The first thing we're going to do is serge along the top of the back bottom and the bottom of the back top. So we just need to serge along that. If you don't have a serger, you can just zigzag stitch or leave it raw. Knit fabric doesn't fray, so you can leave it raw if you want to, but I'm just going to serge along the top here on both pieces. Now that we've done that, what we want to do is fold this down where our marks are. And we're going to top stitch or twin needle or cover stitch along here. And what that's going to do is create the casing for our elastic. So I'm actually going to twin needle this. I normally cover stitch, but I know a lot of people don't have a cover stitch. So I'm going to do a twin needle just to show you what it can look like with a twin needle as well. With twin needling, I just wanted to show you that you definitely don't need to have a new and fancy machine to do so. I've got an older style Bonina. It's from the 70s. It was my aunt's machine, which she left to me, and I just love this machine. It's such a good machine. So to set it up for twin needle, I've got my 2 spools up here in the thread that I like. I've then got a Schmetz twin needle needle in there. So this is a 4mm twin needle stretch needle. And what I've done is I've had a bit of a play on the same fabric before, just to make sure I've got my stitch length and tension right. So I'm pretty happy with that. These are the ones that I'm most happy with, so that's pretty good. My tension is on neutral and my stitch length is on about 3.5. So now all I have to do is get my pattern pieces, or my back pattern piece, and like we said, I'm going to fold it over on these notches and just twin needle it down there, so I'll get a lovely finish. You can pin this if you want to make sure that you've got it nice, like exactly sort of where you want it to be, or you can also steam iron it so it's got a nice crease. So I'm going to take it to my iron and just give it a quick press so that I know that it's going to be nice and flat, so that I can run it through and I'll have a beautiful twin needle finish. So I've given that a really good press. Looking good. So now I can just go along and sew it. So what I'm looking to do, you have to sew it upside down, like as in you can't you know, check from the bottom. So what I do is I feel for the seam underneath, and that's how I kind of guide my needle as I go along. And there, look at that. So you can sometimes get some tunneling. That's pretty easily fixed if you just give it a good steam with the iron again. But that is now my twin needling, so I'm going to be able to thread my elastic across the top. We've got our casing, but it's looking beautiful and professional. Now that we've got the top all folded over and nice and encased, what we're going to do is get our elastic and feed it through the top here. So what I need to do is just get a safety pin, pop it through my elastic, and then I'm just going to feed it through until it's all the way at the other end. So once you've got it all the way to the other end, it's a good idea to pop a pin in the other end so you don't lose it. And then I just like to make sure I just give it a couple of pulls to make sure that it's nice and even. And then I'm going to pop another pin in this end. And that is our elastic casing ready to go. The next step is adding the leg inseam snaps or binding. For this step, you'll need your front and back pieces. So I've got my full front piece and my half back piece. So if you're doing the full back, you need the full back piece. And then I've also got my 2 leg inseam snap pieces. So to start with, what we're going to do is grab one of the pieces. So I'm going to put my front piece to the side and one of my leg snaps. And what you need to do is align them right sides together and pop a clip in. Now you will need to stretch it to fit. So what I'm going to do is actually put my 2 ends first and clip them. And then I'm going to sort of work out roughly what the middle is. You could put a clip in first, but that's my middle. So roughly at the top of my leg piece, I'm going to attach that. And then you'll be able to see that you gently need to stretch it to fit. So I might just stretch it a little bit and pop another clip here. And do the same for the other side. So it just makes it a little bit easier when I'm serging it on. So I've got that there. And I'm just going to clip it on. A bit tricky this side. So I've got that there. So what I want to do now is go along and serge from one end to the other and just gently stretch it as I go. So you'll end up with a piece like this. Now, because I have directional fabric, my rainbows do turn upside down halfway through, but that's okay. I'm going to live with it. So I'm going to repeat that to my front piece, and then I can get to putting it over to the leg binding. Here we go. We've got our 2 leg pieces all bound. So now what we're going to do is flip them over. I'm going to work on one at a time. A little bit of a mark there. And you want to make sure that your leg seam is facing towards the binding, and you're just going to fold it over and line it up with the edge of your seam. So what we're then going to do is I'm going to twin needle across the front. You can either twin needle or zigzag stitch, whatever you'd like to do. But because I'm going to twin needle, I'm just going to get my pins. And so that I've got something to guide myself with, I'm going to put the pins in roughly where I want to sort of sew. Now that I've got both of these all pinned, ready to go. I'm going to take them to my normal machine and twin needle again. Again, if you have a cover stitch, you're welcome to use your cover stitch, or if you don't want a twin needle, you can just do a plain zigzag stitch as well. So as we can see, looking pretty good. There are some spots I didn't get it too badly, but I think we'll be okay. And then from the front, put it like this. So I'll repeat to my front piece, and then we can move on to the next step. And there's our second side. I think I managed to capture all of this one, which is good. And then from the front, looking good. The next step is to attach our front and back pieces together. Now it doesn't say to do it in the pattern, but I am actually going to twin needle the back or the bottom of the top piece just over, just so it's a nice finish. So just to make it a little bit more professional. Again, it doesn't say to do it in the pattern, so you don't have to, but I like to make things look nice and matching, and you won't actually see it in the final garment. It's sort of tucked in behind, but I'd like to do that, so I'm just going to make sure I twin needle across the top there. So I twin needled this just to make it look a little bit nicer, and I gave it a good press. So now I can attach my front and back pieces. So I've got my front piece laying right side up. I'll get my back piece and lay it right side down, aligning my shoulder seams, pop a clip in, and then what we're going to do is just serge along the top of these two. Once you've serged your back and front together like so, next we can attach our sleeves. To attach the sleeves, what we're going to do is lay our pieces right side up. We're going to get one of our sleeve pieces. Now I marked the center front before, and what I'm going to do is line that up. So I've got two right sides together, line that up with my shoulder seam, and pop a clip in it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to align my edges. So I've got my front and pop the edge at the back. And then I'm going to just pop another clip in here, and what I'm doing is I'm just gently easing my shoulder together with my bodice. Just like this. And then I'm going to serge all the way along here and repeat it to the other side. Now that we've attached our sleeves, we're going to put our back pieces together. So I've laid my back piece right side up, and I'm going to get my back bottom piece and lay it down like this. Now we marked our notches before, so we're going to line those up with this side on top, and I'm going to pop a couple of clips down here. Now it is going to be a bit funny because obviously we've got our elastic in there, so you will need to stretch it. But again, we're aligning our notches up so it does overlap. Just make sure you've got it all aligned. And pop a clip in like that. So this is what our back will look like. Now what we're going to do is fold our front piece down so that we have all our right sides together. And we're going to pin or clip all the way down so we can serge it together. I always like to start by aligning my underarm seams together, just so I know that I'm going to get a nice clean underarm. I'm going to pop a clip there. Pop a clip here. And then I'm going to go along and clip everything down the side. So as we know, we've got our bits here. So now's a good time to take out your pin as well, because you don't want to get stuck putting that through your serger. It will not thank you. Just make sure you've got it really well clipped. If you're getting a bit confused, you can always clip your extra threads. So I'm just going along and I'm going to match all this up. So it should match perfectly all the way down. And then what we're going to do is serge from here all the way down to here. And when we have it the right way, this is what it'll look like. So you'll have your little elasticy bit here and the bottom flap will go under there. Got a nice clean side piece. Do it to the other side and then we can move on. Once you've sewn both sides, you should have a romper that looks like this. So we're starting to get somewhere now. The next step we're going to do is add our little footies on. So what you'll need to do is, if you've got the inseam leg snaps, you're going to want to put your leg snap pieces over, and I'm just going to sew a little lock stitch here just so that it's together. Now I personally prefer when the front snap is sort of, covering the back. Some people might like the back snap covering the front. You'll understand if you're putting it together, but what I'm going to do is I'm just on my normal machine, I'm just going to pop a couple of stitches across here just so it stays together while we're putting the footies on. So as you can see, I've just popped a little basting stitch or lock stitch there just to keep that together while we work on the next bit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to attach our footed tighties part of it. So we're going to get each piece, each foot top, and match them up right sides together. If you popped a little mark on, you can make sure you've got that there. Pop a clip in here, line it up with the other edge of the arch. On both sides. And then we're going to serge that to the top there and repeat it to the other side. Once we've got both our foot tops on, what we're going to do is turn it all inside out. Or at least the legs anyway. Like so. And we're going to attach our foot bottoms. So I've got both our foot bottoms here. I marked the quarter points on one but not on the other, so I might just quickly make sure I've got them marked. I'll just do it with some pins, seeing as I don't have my chalk here, but it'll do the same job. All right, and what we're going to do is line them up, right sides together, and pop a clip in. I think I was supposed to put another mark there. Oh yes, there it is on that one. Oh well. And we're going to line up. Yeah, I've still got my little mark there. That back one there. And then you can pop some on the sides as well, just to make sure you're catching it all. Then what we're going to do is serge all the way this oval, this foot. So you want to make sure that you're always catching your raw edges. That's really important. Yeah, we can start that and sew all the way around. As you can see, I've caught all that. So when I turn it out the right way, I've got my little footed bottom piece. So you can see a little bit there, so I can go back and sort of, you know, go a little bit further over that if I like. But to be honest, I don't think anyone's really going to notice it. So I'll just repeat it to the other side, and then we can move on to the last 2 steps. We are so close to finishing now. So we've got our cute little feet here, looking good. So the last thing we'll do will be to add the snaps. So now what we're going to do is add our cuff bands and our neckband. So let's put those ones on. To do our neckband and our cuff bands, what we need is our 2 cuff band pieces and our neckband piece. And what we're going to do is fold them in half right sides together and serge along the short end of all pieces. We're going to start with our cuff pieces. So I'm going to grab my cuff pieces and then I'm going to fold them wrong sides together so that I get a cuff piece, and I'm just going to line up those raw edges so that they're all matching on both those pieces, just like this. Again, if you find the threads distracting, you can clip them off. I always keep a pair of snips next to my machine just for such instances. Clip those both off. Then we're going to get our coverall, grab a sleeve, and we're just going to slide our cuff piece so that they are right sides together. I like to line up my cuff seams, so the bottom of the sleeve and the bottom of the cuff, and then I pop a little clip in, and then what I do is I just gently stretch it so that I'm getting a kind of even, you know, tension all around. And I want to make sure that I've got all 3 raw edges aligned, and then I'm going to serge all the way around the cuff. Now that we've got both our cuff pieces on, we can do our neckband. So it's really important to quarter your neckband. There are lots of rules in sewing that you can bend and some you can even break, but quartering a neckband is never, ever, ever one of them. So you can start with either quartering your neckband or neckline or neckband. So all you do is you match up your shoulder seams, pop a pin in the back, so you've got your center back, and then one at the front. And then to make sure you've got your side seams or side quarters, match up your front and back. You'll notice it is not on the shoulder seam. A lot of people think that it is, but it is definitely not on the shoulder seam. So it's always just sitting a little bit forward. And it's just so important that you quarter your neckband so that you get a really nice even finish. So when I lay it flat, you're able to see that those quarter seams or quarter lines actually sit probably almost an inch in front of the shoulder seams, and that will vary from size to size. So it's not like a straight quarter inch every time. But now with my neckband, I'm going to fold it wrong sides together again, matching up my raw edges. I'm just going to do the same thing. So I know this is my back because that's where my seam is. Fold it in half and pop a pin in it, like so. And then I will match up my back seam and my front pin. A bit tricky with these smaller sizes. And then I know that this is my side quarter. I'm just trying to make sure that I get those raw edges lined up. Pop another pin in it. And on the other side as well. Like so. Oops, my pin's dropped. Now that I've got both corded, what I'm going to do is match them up. So again, with right sides together, I'm going to match up my back seam with my back quarter piece. Align them up and pop a clip in it. I'm just going to go around to all those other ones. I should probably clip this so that I don't get confused. But I'm going to take my pins out as I go, because I don't like to serge with pins in. I've never gone over a pin, but never say never. There's always a first. I don't want to, so I just make sure that I've got clips in. So clip that one together. And our final one. This is also a really good time to put your tag in or label or size. So now that I've got all that there, I'm going to grab a tag. I have these that I got made from AliExpress. So I'm just going to cut one off. They just have my brand name and some rough care instructions, and I'm just going to add that to the back seam so that when I sew it on, it'll have a beautiful tag. But you can get just size tags if you want, or anything you want really. So now I'm going to serge that neckband on, making sure that I've aligned all three edges. So you can see this one's gone a little bit skew-iff. So when I serge it, I'm definitely going to make sure that I line that up so that I'm catching all the raw edges. But we're going to serge that one on. We are so close to finishing now. So the final thing, well, not really the final thing, but the final thing we need to do for the neckband is to twin needle or top stitch it down. I think it's really important to top stitch neckbands down. It gives them such a professional finish. I didn't used to, and then I sort of started to, and it just makes the world of difference in terms of how professional and beautiful it looks. It helps them sit neater, flatter, nicer. I tend to do all mine on a cover stitch because I have it, but like we've been showing in this video, I'm going to show you how to do it with a twin needle on a normal machine, and you'll just be able to see the massive difference between a non-top stitch neckband and a top stitch neckband. So really all I'm going to do is just top stitch around here, and as you can see, it kind of sits up at the moment, but just wait till you see it once we've top stitched all the way around. Okay, I've finished top stitching. I'm a little bit uneven, so I might have to go back and fix that up. But as you can see, it is now so much flatter than it was before. And I just think it just makes it sit so much nicer. And yeah, it's just a really pretty finish. So I think I'll go back and redo mine a little bit. But just to make you understand, top stitching and twin needling your final neckband is just so worth the effort. The last thing we need to do is add our leg snaps. So I'm going to be using a press to do that. You can also use handheld snaps or hammer-in ones. I just find that the industrial presses put them on the best. So this is what I'll be using, but any legs or any snap press will work for you. Whether you're using metal snaps or plastic snaps, there are sort of three main components you need. You need the cap, which is the outer piece. You need the male part of the snap, which is the one that has an outy piece. And then you need the female, which is the innie piece. Hopefully that's easy to remember. So once you've got all your pieces, I'm going to do, I think, about 5 on my legs, on my inseam. So I'm going to line them up, and what I'm going to get is, it's called a tailor's awl. And you get it there, and what you do is you poke it through. Just be careful that you don't poke through your outer fabric. So it can be a little bit tricky, but what I'm going to do is poke that through, making sure that I don't pierce my outer fabric. And now I know that those two are going to line up. So what I'm going to get is my cap, put it down in my press, and then on the top I want my male snap. So put that on there. Try really hard not to get these snaps mixed up because they're really annoying if you get it wrong. Trust me, I've done it before. And then we have our first snap. And what we're going to do is just do it all the way along until it's evenly spacing them out. I might actually have to get a couple more than 5, but we're going to evenly space them out so that we can close up our inseam snap panel. You're all done! Yay! So at this stage, you should have your completed essential coverall. We've done a crew neck, we've got our long sleeve with cuff pieces, we've got our covered in footies to keep those foots nice and warm. We've got our snap placket along the bottom for those easy nappy changes, or you can also open up the back panel, bottom flap cover to do nappy changes as well. So I can't wait to gift this one. I think I'm going to gift it to a friend who's got a sort of slightly older little boy, and she should get a lot of use out of that one. I hope you found a few easy to follow tips along here. If you've got any questions, please pop them in the comment box below. As always, make sure you like and subscribe to both the Brindille and Twig YouTube channel and the Sew and Tell Australia YouTube channel. You should have all the social followings as well down there as well. In my next YouTube video, I'm going to be doing the number 67 pattern, the flutter sweatshirt, which I can't wait to do. That is a really, really cute one. Might have to make one for my daughter. She hasn't had anything for a little while, so I'm looking forward to putting that one together. And if you subscribe to our channels, you'll get the notification when that one goes live. Thanks everybody, and I hope you all enjoy your new essential coveralls.